there's no way. I'm already so still burning. So hold me close now, baby. I do what I'm told, still learning to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line, yeah. You got me shifting the paradigm, no longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride, look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1 million life, yeah. We could roll the dice, act like you're surprised, but you already know. Oh yeah, got lucky overnight. Jackpot when I got the invite. Let me wrap my arms around you, cause I can't go home without you. And my heart just vibe with you, babe. Wanna go sky high with you, babe. Gotta bring you close to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. Cooler than cold, I'm all in. So load up the dice, so heavy. The way that you roll, I'm falling. So I never fall, I'm ready to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line, yeah. You got me shifting the paradigm, no longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride, look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1 million life, yeah. We could roll the dice, yeah. Act like you surprised, but you already know. You're my lucky strike, and I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. I can't let you go, there's no way. I'm already so still burning. So hold me close now, baby. I do what I'm told, still learning to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line, yeah. You got me shifting the paradigm, no longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride, look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1 million life, yeah. We could roll the dice, act like you're surprised, but you already know. Oh yeah, got lucky overnight. Jackpot when I got the invite. Let me wrap my arms around you, cause I can't go home without you. And my heart just vibe with you, babe. Wanna go sky high with you, babe. Gotta bring you close to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. Cooler than
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Usually you're used to hearing the Peter Truland's intro music for the RecPoker Podcast if you're here watching live on YouTube. We're going to do something just slightly differently tonight. This is another one of these episodes where we actually pre-recorded the guest interview. And we just got sick of every time we do that, just having this weird intro outro on the air on Monday nights, giving away a prize is great, but we want to reward our viewers for their punctuality and their regular appearance here on YouTube on Monday nights at 7:30. So tonight we're going to do 2 episodes. We're going to start with a recording of a forums edition. So we usually do these offline. We usually do these over Zoom instead of on YouTube. So folks don't always get a chance to come see how the magic is made. But we're going to do a forums edition first. That's a shorter episode focused strictly on strategy. And then we will do our chats edition without the interview. So it'll be our intro, and then we'll go over some home game results. We'll give away a prize and wrap it up. So this is going to be a kind of just a slightly different way of doing things. And I hope that you enjoy it. And let us know either way, of course, either in the YouTube chat or by reaching out to us over social media or email or whatever works for you. So with that said, I think I'm going to start the intro. I'm already sharing audio. Got the whole team here. What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong, Kate? All right. So let's start recording for the forums edition of the RecPoker Podcast. Here we are. Hello, folks. It's my pleasure to be here, just like it is every week, as the host of the RecPoker Podcast. I've got the best freaking job in the world, so I get to hang out here on Monday nights and talk to my poker friends about this game that we love so much. My name's Jim Reed. I'm at RecPoker Jim on Twitter, and just Jim in the RecPoker home games, or on the RecPoker website, and Blusterini in the home game. So come and steal my chips 10 to 11 times a week in the home game series run by John Somsky. I love being a part of RecPoker. I'm so glad I joined as a premium member back in 2019. Most of what we do here at RecPoker is free, so I have to thank our sponsors, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, who we will be visiting on August 4th and 5th. Everything's going great tonight, guys. We're doing really well on every front. That's going to be super fun. RecPoker weekend at Running Aces. I can't wait to go meet some old friends and make some new friends at the same time. But this is the forums edition of the podcast, which means I'm joined here by the Wrecking Crew. If you want to find out more about me or the other members of the Wrecking Crew, you can go to rec.poker/crew. But just listen up, because you're going to meet a few of them on the air right here, right now. Ooh, it's happening.
My name is Joe Cools, and you can find me still on Twitter at Joe Cool PhD, cool with a K, or Elvita11 in the home game.
And I am John Somsky, and I am Poker Geek MN everywhere.
And I'm Rob Washam, and I'm Rabman50 everywhere, including Threads and Twitter and wherever.
The great migration has begun. We'll see. I started the new Threads account, but I'm going to hold off on spending any time there until Twitter like officially crashes and burns. It's a burning hellscape right now, but until it's like actually post-apocalyptic, mutants roaming the land, that kind of thing, I'm going to stick it out and see if we can pull one out. Okay, well, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining me here tonight. This is the forums edition of the podcast. Like I was saying, it's the very first live on YouTube forums edition of the podcast. I see we've got Charles Allen among a few others in the YouTube chat, Evil Roy Slade, our man Dave in there, and a couple others I can tell. So if folks are just listening, we're doing our very first forums edition on YouTube. We're going to follow this up with the chats edition a little later on tonight. But this is going to be fun. If you've got any questions about what's coming up, then feel free to type away. We are going to be looking at a post in the RecPoker forums. They're free, by the way, along with so much of the other great stuff we do around here. This is one by Outfocus Metal. Outfocus Metal's a user here at RecPoker. He has typed in our forums before, and I think we'll be hearing more from this player. The question that Outfocus Metal is posting is, what's the best way to practice GTO? And they say, I'm looking to practice pure GTO with no exploitative play, but I'm really struggling at lower levels where the exploits are so obvious. While that's not bad per se, it's difficult for me to differentiate between good GTO deviation and me just reverting back to my old non-GTO based style of play. He gives an example here and says, my local pub game is the cheapest MTT available. So I go along and promise myself I'll stick to GTO regardless of opponent or action. Then Old Man Coffee calls the pre-flop raise for the 9th hand in a row. And as I know he will 100% bet when he hits and 100% call when he's chasing a draw, I raise with absolutely everything regardless of our ranges. I can't stop myself doing it. So is it better to avoid these low-stake games if I could afford to lose a wedge of cash practicing at higher levels? So not a bankroll, but a practice fund. Or am I missing the difficulties at those higher levels as well? And then they conclude their post by saying, also interested to hear if people think I should never be trying to play pure GTO live and instead sign up for practice tools like DTO for that. So we did get some excellent responses here in the RecPoker forums from Chris Jones, from Rob Washam. Outfocus Metal responds a couple times. We're going to get into those. I think the one thing that jumped out at me from this post, which is a pretty common mistake, or a common, no, I think it's a mistake that players make as they're getting more into GTO and they're learning about it and they're getting excited about it and kind of seduced by it. They want to go and apply it in all these places where I don't think its application is really warranted. And the problem is, and I think Outfocus Metal kind of knows this from the way that they're describing their post, the players at those low stakes, at those entry tournaments that you're playing, they're just making so many mistakes that you don't need to be playing defense. And GTO is basically about playing defense. It's about being unexploitable yourself. At this level, you're going to be much better off just taking advantage of the mistakes that your opponents make. And if you play GTO, you're sort of like bringing a very fancy tool to a knife fight, and you're just going to get stabbed repeatedly by these people with these very simple tools that are much better at stabbing than your fancy tool. That's a butchered way. I shouldn't even have started first. Okay, Chris, you put a really good post up here. I've set the table by sounding terrible, so anything that you come up with now is going to be amazing. Why don't you dazzle our audience with some actually well-crafted words in response to this post?
Setting the table with knives.
Yeah,
that you...
Hey, see, at least there was like a narrative theme throughout it.
I have lots of fancy tools that I bring to any knife fight. I think that's the lesson learned here. It's just bring some fancy tools to any kind of knife fight.
A gun is pretty good in a knife fight.
That's true. That's pretty fancy.
I suppose that is pretty fancy. Some yes, indeed. So I think, one of the things that I just immediately would respond to this is we learn GTO for a variety of reasons, and I think there's this sort of misunderstanding that like what we're learning is how to play, but what we're learning is what is the baseline at which we are starting our approach to play. And then how are we going to make adjustments based on the assumption, the correct assumption in most sense, unless we're playing against like Ollie and Servich doing some RTAing, is that humans are not going to play perfectly. And so we're going to make adjustments to that. But if we can, even approximate what some of the best approaches would be as a baseline, now we know, like, okay, if my opponent is completely balanced, right, I'm going to open down to, I'm just making something up, just randomly. Like, I'm opening up down to pocket sixes and Jack 10 suited and King Queen offsuit, right? That's what I'm going to do if they're perfectly balanced. But now I know that, well, my opponent, or I'm learning maybe that my opponent isn't perfectly balanced. And maybe they're going to be way too wide and be kind of erratic. Well, now I maybe can open up a little bit wider. Or now I know that they're a total rock and they're only going to play like queens plus. Well, now I'm going to take that range that I know kind of intuitively goes down to pocket sixes and goes to Jack 10 suited and King Queen offsuit. And I'm going to say, well, Jack 10 suited is out. So are pocket sixes, and on up the chain, because that my opponent's only coming back at me with a much tighter range. So there's ways that this helps us when we say things like, oh, now I need to tighten up against this opponent. We might not even know what that means unless we understand GTO, right? But it's not that we're actually taking this and playing it out in the wild, especially as our correspondent talks about in a bar league where we've got like a player that we have a perfect exploit against, and we know exactly what they're doing every time they raise, every time they call. Well, let's keep playing that exploit because we know, I mean, there is zero reason to play them GTO. So I think when we want to practice GTO, that's where these tools that the correspondent mentions are great. Like DTO, GTO Wizard, these kind of things, we can just play them in the lab. We can kind of learn as we're going. And that helps us understand how we're going to approach and make adjustments against players, but it's not going to be how we play. That's how I'd start.
Yeah, and I think anyone else, of course, jump in. But as Chris is saying, if we know our opponents are going to make certain errors, like let's say our opponent only ever 3-bets with pocket aces, then we don't need to have a 4-betting strategy that involves a polarized range or a linear range. We can just play it. We can play fully exploitatively. We don't have to worry about balance. We don't have to worry about is our opponent going to find our play predictable. And when you don't need to worry about that kind of stuff, GTO is just, it just tells you where to start from, and then you decide where to deviate from there. Rob, you unmuted first, then I think Joe had something else he wanted to add.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything that we've said so far. We're now currently studying GTO Poker Simplified by Dara Carney with Barry Carter in our book study. And one of the things that Dara is professing is that by using a GTO strategy even at the micro stakes levels, it allows you to move up in stakes and be able to continue to improve and continue to not be exploited at the next level. What he's saying is what you're doing is you're creating this unexploitable version of your poker strategy that you don't have to worry what happens when you go up to the next level. Because as they say, at each level, there are different exploits that will help you make more money. And that's very true. But if you concentrate on the level you're on today and you get all the exploits down and now your strategy is full of all those exploits, then you go up to the next level, you have to start all over again because the exploits are going to be different at the next level as you increase. So what he's professing is that you get that basic GTO strategy that is unexploitable by your opponents and work on it and then move up in the stakes accordingly. You're going to have an easier time at each level that you advance.
Joe, did you have something there?
Yeah, I just think that when you look at GTO strategy, right? I mean, that's an enormous concept. And I think sometimes in the same way that we can't really understand variance very well, we can't really understand the enormity of what a GTO strategy would look like in play. So I think that in addition to what everything else has been said, is like you have to plan when you're saying I'm going to start implementing a GTO strategy. You really have to start breaking it down to sections and groups and say, well, this is what I do. This is what I'm going to work at on that time. And you're going to find that as you practice something, regardless of where you are, as you go back to your regular game, your performance is going to slip, and you have to just kind of accept that that's going to be the case in those particular areas because you start thinking harder about what things are going on, and it's much easier to play a simplified strategy because you can apply that consistently and always have a good idea. Whereas if you're in an online environment, you got 30 seconds to make a decision, which means you're essentially. So I'm going to go and talk about some brain things here, and it's going to be actually accurate. But when you're thinking about how the brain utilizes information, I may have said this before. You want less of your brain to be involved when you're doing tasks efficiently and well, because you're allocating less resources. There's less thinking and essentially higher level processing that's going on, and it becomes almost automatic. So even athletes will talk about this when you do fMRI scans, these scans that show functional activities in brains. they calm down when they're doing an activity that we do well, because they can allocate resources differently for that strategy, and they've kind of made it automatic. You're now going to step away from that if you're playing well and make your strategy more difficult, use more of your brain, allocate more of your resources, have more uncertainty, which is going to make you more inefficient in terms of doing that task and make more mistakes. So you really have to go into any of these self-improvements to say, all right, I'm gonna play worse for a while, and that's okay. But I'm gonna play worse in this very specific area because I don't want it to be brought across to my entire game. So, say you're working on middle pocket pairs. Well, I'm going to play my middle pocket pairs worse, and I'm going to lose some EV with them. But other aspects of my range or other aspects of my strategy, I'm going to stick to the same progress, because then I can make money and support my bankroll during the time when I am losing money within other parts of my range. And in that way, you don't feel quite like it's a disaster every time you try to implement GTO and it falls apart and you lose every last dime that you won over the last month because you tried to get better.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think that is very common for people. That's why my dad, who was a golfer, would often say, like, don't practice on the course, practice on the range, and then go just play. When you're out there to play, just play. Let your brain take care of itself. And it's common when you're trying new things for that to affect your results, because you're going to be less comfortable, you're going to be less confident, less sure about things. You're going to feel like you might be making mistakes. So don't let that get you down either. I think that's very natural. Rob?
We also talked a little bit about some of the apps out there that we can use to practice GTO, right? Like DTO, APT, GTO Wizard, those types of things. And those are really great. But if you don't have a basic understanding of what GTO is to begin with, just jumping in and doing those drills is not going to teach you much. It's just going to tell you when you're wrong or when you're right, but it's not going to tell you why you're wrong or that you're right. So I think before you start actively using those types of training tools, to get a basic understanding of what GTO means and how it works in poker.
And I think, and that's where I'll make one more comment here about Outfocus Metal and their response. And unless there's anything else, we'll probably wrap it up for this episode. So Outfocus Metal responds. So there's some great responses here, and I do encourage our listeners. It's free. Go. I'll put the link to this forum post in the show notes. You don't even need a free RecPoker account to view the forum post. You can just click on the link and view it for free as a visitor. But I would encourage our folks, come get a free RecPoker account. All it takes is an email address and a smile, and you can respond to posts. You can post yourself. You can take advantage of a lot of the great stuff that we do here for free, like the Home Game Club, the Discord channel, our Twitch channel, the YouTube stuff. It's so much free stuff here. And the forums are really something that our members tell us that's where they made some steps is in their own poker journey by sharing these spots with other people. So to wrap things up for Outfocus Metal here, in response to some of these posts, responses, they say, I'm not trying to practice GTO or play GTO per se. I'm trying to embed the GTO principles in my play by practicing. And I want to do that in the live play, as my game is so different live than when I'm playing online. And I think that's the right attitude, Outfocus Metal, but I want to encourage you. I don't think any of us should be embedding the GTO principles in our play. I think we should be embedding the GTO principles in our overall strategy, that we then, every time we walk to a table, we then make a more specific strategy, a more tailored strategy for the people that we're going to be playing against. And knowing where to start from, like GTO tells you how to extract every possible cent of EV out of every hand on the grid. And it does it in a way that's as balanced as possible and as unexploitable as possible. But again, like we've sort of been saying throughout this episode, that's not a practical strategy in the games that we're playing. So using it as the foundation from which we deviate is a great way to do it. And I would say embed those GTO principles in your theory but not in your play. And then just think about how to deviate from it to take advantage of the errors that the people at your game are playing. Joe?
Yeah, so I have an example if we still have time. If not, I can.
Yes, no, we do. Please.
So, and it just happened recently in terms of how I use it. So I use GTO Wizard, and I had a spot in a 50NL cash game that I was playing where I had tens, and somebody that had been 3-betting me at the table repeatedly from the small blind, and so I decided to 4-bet. And then on the river, I do 3/4 bet, and he jams. All right, and I'm like, oh, what do I do? So I decided to call, and he had a set of sevens. And luckily I nailed the river. My 10 came in, and I was like, hey, look at me. And then I'm like, no, the question is that lucky, or was it a good play? And I thought that's terrible play, right? This guy, he jams, he's got a set or better, at least 2 pair, and I'm beat, or better overpair for that matter. And when I looked at GTO Wizard, the only thing that it actually complained about was that my flop bet was too big. And I thought that was very interesting. And so I decided I was going to utilize that and see how it would work. And then in the home game yesterday, I got tens, and I was like, fantastic. And then this individual whose name is I'm gonna make it anonymous so nobody knows who it is, but San Momsky from Utah 3-bet me, and I said, I know the exact play to go, and so I 4-bet him. So I called, and then, which was what the GTO said it's supposed to do, and then I came and I had an overpair, and I said, okay, I can bet here, I know the exact amount to bet, and then that person jammed. And I said, I know I'm supposed to call, and he jammed over a set of 8s, and I didn't win. So now, why am I telling this besides the funny thing that John put me out of the tournament yesterday, is that it showed me exactly what the unexploitable play is, right? Because GTO shows you that against a perfect opponent, they could have enough unpaired hands that the 4-bet is okay at a frequency. And by always calling, you always eliminate the fact that you have aces in your range. So it tells you something about how to play. But in both instances, I was playing against players who are not perfect. John's nearly perfect, but not
Very
quite
close.
perfect. Right?
Yeah,
very
quite
close.
close.
And as a result, facing a jam, I don't care what GTO says anymore. It's a fold. It's a fold, it's a fold, it's a fold if I only have an overpair, because I'm probably facing something that's going to beat me. And I think that's, to me, conceptualized in this hand, like how to use it, how to determine what GTO is, why it's making those decisions, but also why you don't want to listen to it sometimes, because you got to get lucky on the river then.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, so sorry about that. I got lucky and flopped a set there.
Well, it sounds like you got the chips in good, John. I
Yeah.
wouldn't take anything away from that.
But so I think it's important to understand that GTO is not about saying what is the best play in this spot. What it is it's about creating a range of plays, a range of hands, a range of raises that leave you to be unexploitable. So it doesn't matter what hand Mom Jomsky had in that, or Sam Jom, whatever
Sam
it was.
Momsky, yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't matter what they had in that particular hand. You cannot be exploited. Now, it may not be the ideal hand. Given the way I'm sure there's a more exploitable way of playing against me, but GTO is all about leaving yourself unexploitable. When you learn that, then you can figure out where to deviate from that based upon the errors that your other players are making. And I know I make a ton of them. So Joe could have done better by not playing GTO against me.
Yeah. Joe?
I was going to say you played that one pretty darn well.
yeah, you got the max. Got the max.
Jammed all in, and you got me to call right in the back end.
Well, I'm not going to complain about that. No.
Yeah. And hey, flopping sets, that is a Blusterini approved method of profiting in the world of poker. So for some of us, it's all we have. That's all I'm saying. Go get that cheddar, John. So yeah, Rob?
I was just going to say there's one other concept that we haven't discussed here that I think is very important when we talk about GTO. And that is that GTO is a strategy that informs you how to play all the hands in your range,
Yes.
so that when you do have value, you get paid. If the only
Great point.
time you raise or go all in is you have pocket aces, everybody's going to fold and you're never going to get paid. So you need to have a balanced range of different hands that you show up with. So when people see that, they understand that just because you bet doesn't mean you always have it. But you're going to have it enough between your value and your bluffs that you're going to get paid when you have value. And that's how you make money in poker.
Yep, I love it. Regular listeners will know that's been something that Rob's been on about for the last while, talking about how the value bets drive our poker strategy. And I just love this point that Joe made here as well, that Rob was picking up on, that GTO is really trying to create a solution for every possible hand and every possible decision point that hand can go through, all the different flops it can see, all the different sizes available. And it's sort of like, in the big picture, here's how you could play poker and you would be very hard to play against. So if you're playing against some other GTO bots, defense like that is really important. If you're not, the way to win at poker is by letting your opponents make bigger mistakes than you or more mistakes than you. And trust me, no one's out there playing GTO, so it's a good place to start from. But you're going to make your money by capitalizing on the mistakes of your opponents. And if you say, but Jim, I'm playing in a game where no one makes any mistakes, well, then you are making a big mistake by playing in that game, sir or madam. And you should find a different poker game to play if winning is important to you, because mostly you want to play with players that are about your level or a little worse, players that are going to make worse mistakes than you or bigger mistakes than you. That's how we make money. And I am always available. So, look me up, send up the Bluffsterini signal, and I'll come join your game. Easy money available. All right, well, folks, I think that about wraps it up for this forums edition of the RecPoker Podcast. I'd like to thank Rob Washam, John Somsky, Joe Coolis, and Chris Jones, and Outfocus Metal for that post. Of course, I want to thank the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. We'll see you soon. And you, the listeners, thank you so much. So stick around for the Chats edition next, and we'll see you next week. All right, good night, everybody. Cool. All right. So, I didn't stop that one time. Okay. This is how it goes sometimes in the forums edition. So, hello, YouTube.
Now everyone gets to see how the real the real Jim Reed before we go live.
Yeah. So now I already have to make a note to clip off the end of forums because I didn't stop recording early enough. All right, I'll do that when we upload that.
I want to
later.
write some Son Jomsky fan fiction now.
Yeah. The Intrepid Explorer, the French Canadian.
He's like the that Star Trek episode where there's evil Spock and he's just got the goatee. Oh! That's what I'm picturing here.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like it. John, you're muted, of course, but I think we did get the general idea.
I already have the goatee, so that means I must be the evil one. So
that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. Wow. Okay, so much explained here in between episodes. That's all it takes. Just got to pop in between the episodes here on the RecPoker Podcast. All right. I think I've got this all queued up here. So, yeah, YouTube chatters, hello. We're going to now dive into the Chats edition. We don't have the interview was pre-recorded this week. So we're going to do our usual intro. We'll do the home game results after the interview, and we'll give away a prize with Chris's Magic Die. And yeah, so hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. And I think we can jump right in. Unless I'm forgetting anything? No. Impossible. All right, wish me luck. All right, you guys, you're all in charge of knowing whose names are start with what letter. That's all you have to worry about for this one. Here we go. Oh, well, I don't always nail the outros, but I am getting way better at the intros. Thanks for joining us this week, folks. My name is Jim Reed, and I have the best freaking job in the world. I get to be your host for the RecPoker Podcast. This is the Chats edition of the podcast where we're going to be interviewing someone interesting from the world of poker. Tonight, we're going to be talking to Ruth Hall, tournament veteran. This is one of our throwback interviews from Kim Kilroy's poker empowerment sessions that she's been running for the last couple of years, and it's a goodie. In the meantime, I have to thank our sponsors, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. We've got some fun stuff planned up there, folks. August 4th and 5th, the first weekend in August. It's going to be me and a bunch of all my poker friends converging on Columbus, Minnesota, Mecca, as Steve likes to call it. The Rec Poker weekend at Running Aces is going to be a lot of fun. There's some tournaments that only Rec Poker members can play. There's a 3-tournament series with a points race, a leaderboard with additional prizes at the end. We're going to be giving away Rec Poker memberships. We're going to be giving away Running Aces Lammers. We're going to be giving away all sorts of merch. Rec Poker Premium members get some food vouchers just for showing up. There's a whole bunch of good reasons to show up to the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino on August 4th and 5th. So circle it, folks. You've still got time to book those flights. And if you're already if you already have a player's card, I believe you can even get a 10% discount at the hotel if you need a hotel room for a couple nights to make the fun go twice as long. So consider that, and I do hope we get some fun folks coming out there. I'll be bringing the pins, of course. So if you're owed a pin and you haven't and you don't want to go pay the shipping and handling on the website to get it shipped out to you, all you need to do is tap me on the shoulder at one of our Rec Poker road trips, and I'll make sure to get that pin over to you. Okay, so I'm looking forward to that. Thanks to sponsors, full marks so far. Our premium members are really the lifeblood of what we do here at Rec Poker, and we've picked up a few premium members over the last couple of weeks, back when I was in Vegas, and now that we're kind of getting things going back. So I really want to thank Craig Tetty, who I got a chance to meet down there. Craig was a super fun guy. And Craig, I hope you got to enjoy the rest of your trip in Las Vegas with your son and have a fantastic time. We also got Jennifer Galloway and Jean Cotto, who I haven't had a chance to meet with yet because, as is chronically the case, I'm a little behind on my emails. But I'm going to be reaching out to them real soon and showing them all the great stuff that is available as part of the Rec Poker Premium membership. So Jennifer, Jean, and is it Jean or Jeannie? I'm not sure. Geanne. We're going to find out when we get a chance to talk one-on-one in our Zoom call. And Craig, thank you so much for your support. The other people that I have to thank about a few minutes into the show here are the Wrecking Crew, because I couldn't do it alone. They give me the mic on Mondays, but I am just one of the members of the Wrecking Crew that make the magic happen over here at Rec.Poker. If you want to find out more about me or the other Wrecking Crew members, you can head on over to rec.poker/crew, and you can also just listen up because you're going to meet a few of them right here, right now.
Well, I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5v5 on Threads or 5x5 in the Poker Stars home game.
I'm Joe Coolis. You can find me at Joe Cool PhD, Cool with a K on Twitter, and Elvita11 in the home game.
And I'm John Somsky, Poker Geek MN everywhere, including Threads.
And I'm Rob Washam, and I'm Rabman50 just about everywhere.
Thanks, gang. I'm so glad to be here, part of this Wrecking Crew. It makes me feel lucky and happy every Monday night, and sometimes even on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. You just never know. So we are going to be talking to Ruth Hall, as I mentioned at the top of the show. And then we're going to be getting into some exciting events going on at Rec Poker afterwards. We're going to talk about some home game results, and we're going to give away a prize just like we do every week for our regular viewers who are here every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern, or as John Somsky is fond of saying, 6:30 Central Time, the only time zone that matters, live here on YouTube for free. So if our amazing post-production team of Renz Isidro and Roger Schutte can take it from here and throw to the interview with Ruth Hall, and then we'll be right back afterwards to talk a little more poker. All right. Well, folks, actually, I have heard this interview already because I was in the room when Kim Kilroy was doing the interview with Ruth, and this was a really good one. was had a really interesting story, tournament grinder, just played a ton, very involved in the poker scene. And I really enjoyed hearing her talk about sort of what that's like, the experiences she's had. And I think you'll enjoy it as well. Phil from the YouTube chat says, amazing interview. Thanks, Phil. Yeah, I knew we'd have you in our corner for that one because you're just a constant font of positivity and encouragement. It never crossed my mind otherwise. Thank you, my friend. So as folks know, we like to support the cause of, we try and combat the problem of food insecurity. Food insecurity exists on a spectrum. Everyone can do their part by supporting their local food bank. And if you type the words food bank into the chat right here in YouTube right now, then you'll get a chance to get your name pulled for a prize for free. And folks like Phil Razor and Luke O'Driscoll, previous winners that haven't gotten their prize yet because they've emailed me to claim their prize and I haven't sent it out yet, will soon be able to attest to how great those prizes are. Sometimes it's a free month at RecPoker. Sometimes it's a free month at Learn Pro Poker or PokerCoaching.com or the Poker Forge or Solve for Why or some of our other fantastic learning partners. Sometimes it's a coaching credit. Sometimes it's some merch. You just never know. But it's free and it's going to be fun. So good. Some people are starting to type food bank into the chat. And I'll just mention to folks again, if you just Google the words food bank near me, you'll find an organization that could benefit from a donation of a few dollars, a few hours, or a few non-perishable food items from your pantry. So please do consider helping out a food bank in your area. You never know who might be going hungry. It might not be someone you expect. It might be someone in your own neighborhood or community that just needs a little help getting food on the table. So please do consider that. And speaking of hungry, I think some people are hungry for some home game results, John Somsky. We had a couple. No, I'm sticking with it. Keep that in. Keep that one in. That's the best segue we've had all night. So John, why don't you fill us in? There's been some close calls and some big names in the top three, but we only get to shout out the winners, unfortunately. But let us know how some folks have been faring.
That is true. Everyone is looking for a taste of these results, and their stomachs are growling, just waiting for it.
Yes.
Yeah, I can make very bad puns as well.
He's doing it.
Okay.
Take it home, John. Take it home.
For our Mixed Game Championship Series, Jasper Jr. Pat Barry got his very first Mixed Game victory in the Limit Stud 8 event. Of course, Gopher Boy TJM Taylor still has a 64-point lead, but this win did catapult Jasper Jr. into second place in the POI race.
Mm-hmm.
And K-Poker wannabe Ron Payton got his second daily TOC title of the year. So he's won 2 this year. Now, unfortunately, he only gets 1 silver pin for that, but that is 2 victories in TOC events.
Super tough fields too. Like let's not just gloss over how difficult that is to accomplish. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Then on July 10th, Mudslinger 1942 Jack Pestel got his second nightly victory for the year. And Ship and Flip Wreck, Luke O'Driscoll got his 5th nightly victory for the year.
Luke's on a roll, man. He cannot be stopped. I think in every single week here on the podcast. So Luke, I know you're listening. Congratulations, man. That's amazing.
Another one that has been coming up recently is Lars Opening. George Borden got his 3rd nightly victory for the year.
Nice. Way to go, George.
Digging 8 Graves got his or her 6th nightly victory for the year. And then Elvita 11, Co Julis, got his first nightly victory for the year.
Congratulations.
I'm sorry, that was Joe Coolis.
Nicely done.
Big Dog Day got his first daily mixed bet event for the year.
Nice.
Gopher Boy TJM Taylor got his first international victory for the year.
Rigged.
Jaw 2222 Dave Schoon got his 2nd international victory for the year. And Stewie 13 Stuart Carriage got his first LPP victory for the year. So Stewie, you can email info@rec.poker for your free month at Learn Pro Poker.
That's right. One of the great perks of playing in these home games is the games are free, but the prizes are real, folks. So you're going to love a free month of learning at Learn Pro Poker. You are in for a treat. Joe, did you have something there?
Well, I just want to say you pointed out that Luke O can't be stopped, but I did beat Luke O in the game.
That's true.
So he can't be stopped, but he played very well. I had a huge stack and I could not put him away. It took a long time before. So hats off to him for playing very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And he has been on a freaking roll. I see there's some great back and forth in the YouTube chat here, folks. I wish I don't understand. More folks join us live for free on YouTube at 7:30 Eastern on Monday nights. You can win a prize. You can see all these people going at it in the YouTube chat. It is a lot of fun. So congratulations to all our winners and some very self-deprecating answers from some of these people in here. Listen, some of you're excellent players. You deserve to win, Luke. I mean, it definitely helps to play a lot of games, but don't let that shine come off, my man. You've been kicking butt, and you deserve all the victories that you've had. So good for you. Congratulations. All right, Chris, why don't we do our food bank roll here? I think I see Charles Allen first, and then
Although he was hedging based on who was rolling.
Oh, okay. That's true. Oh yeah, because you really want to be first if I'm the one rolling. But
Right.
Charles, Dave, Joe, Luke, and I think that's it. 4.
So I
you
get
have
to use the fancy triangle
four
one.
cider. Yeah. All right.
This is like my favorite because it's like it's hard to even read.
We'll make a geek out of you yet, Chris.
We got it.
Who thinks of designing a dice like a triangle? I mean, there's got to be a better way to do this. I don't know. Anyway, all right, ready? Here we go. It's a 2.
A 2. All right. So we started with Charles. Of course, it's Dave. It had to be Dave. Dave, the perennial winner. Congratulations, sir. So we're going to start coming up with some new prizes for Dave Westerveld because Evil Roy just cannot. All he does is win, win, win. It's one of he's cleaning up. That reminds me of Eric Jin, who was doing so well in our Fun Country online play-in hangs that $25 at a time, every week the prize was $25. He won so many of those that he bought himself a standing desk. He bought himself a standing desk purely with the winnings from our Fun Country online play-in hangs.
Yeah, but didn't Dave Westerfield buy his vacation cottage with the winnings he made on that?
Yeah, I think Dave
he was
also
right
did very
there,
well.
right next. He was right there, right next to Eric.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard to sneak a win past those two. That was my experience as well. Yeah, I think we need. So we're just going to respond to some YouTube chat here. We do need a die cam or a dice cam. We'll have to get back to Chris. You're the linguist here. You're the English master. Would it be a die cam?
I already said triangle and got corrected as pyramid. So and that is actually correct. So
that is a pyramid. That's a good point. I do think that's what we're missing now because I don't want to get Poppy on us and all the lawyers. This is a very litigious group, and if Phil Razor feels bamboozled at all the friendly comments to Stapleton aren't going to make enough of a difference. I think he's going to bring the hammer down. So we need some transparency, Chris, is what I'm saying. We need some transparency here.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Well, I just have a simple suggestion. Just have your phone, have it join into Zoom as a separate account. Yep. Have it set up so that the camera is pointed to a little area that you can shine some lights on, maybe some rubies in the background, a little glitter, and then that's where you roll the dice, and it would just be awesome and simple. I think you could do that quite easily. Notice I didn't volunteer to do anything myself.
That's true. It could be like an iPhone. It could maybe we could just do it by calling in on the phone. I could probably. Okay, you've given us a lot to think about here, John. Live on the air. This is where we do our best thinking.
Yeah,
These sort of
I'm
pregnant pauses.
trying it right now. We'll see if this works.
Oh, yeah, okay. This is how we're trying it. We're trying it here. Chris Jones. There's that handsome bugger. Now, let's see. You might have to mute one of you.
What's
for
happening? Am I
feedback.
in there? No. What's
You're
going on?
you're in the Zoom. I see
This
your-
is great
I see your-
podcasting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's near the end of the show. We already gave the prize away, so I think they're dropping like flies. But let's take another minute and see if we can figure this out.
So
it does
start
say-
video.
Yeah, there we go. All right,
Okay, now-
I see your
now
face.
I gotta
see your
flip it
face.
around though. Hold on.
Yep, flip
Yep.
it around.
Hold on.
Phil's saying if the die cam works, he demands a producer credit. Yeah, he
Okay,
wants an
well,
agent credit.
there
Okay,
you
here we go. Yeah.
They're the trust. But you're not gonna believe me anyway. You're not gonna. So like I roll this. I guess I can zoom.
Then you
in.
got to get real tight.
You're not
you
gonna
gotta get
see
real
that.
tight on
I
it.
don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think what you need to do is you need to. This is a trick that some geeks may have been known to use in the olden days. Take a light colored crayon, rub it over the side of the dice, and it will make the numbers stick out more.
Ooh.
So then
Okay.
it should show up on camera. Something like a white with that dark of dice would have
Or-
to be used.
So
Or
not
you could,
only
like-
do I have to buy geek dice, now I've got to buy white crayon. What is happening here?
Well, yeah.
Right.
Oh, actually, it's not too bad on the other ones. I think the triangle one's the only
Yeah, the triangle
pyramid.
one is the problematic
Pyramid.
one.
The pyramid
Yeah.
one now. Precision of language.
Yeah.
Chris, what if you like slide it over towards the edge of the table and then you could get it like from the side? You know what I mean? Like if what's that like? If
Like that.
yeah, it's too fuzzy. That's pretty
Yeah.
close. Okay, we're gonna workship this,
Okay.
folks.
Well, I
Joe?
have one other technological, since we've wasted people's time in doing this
Yes.
over and over again. Can you give me, can I take control of the screen?
Yeah. Oh, can you take control of the screen?
Yeah, you may be sharing, so maybe I can't.
You know, trying to get things in focus is such a great experience for an audio podcast.
I know.
Yeah.
I just have to say.
This is what's gonna get us GPI podcast of the year right here.
Yeah.
This is the clip we submit to them for sure.
All right. So we're going to workshop this off the air. Maybe when we come back next week, we will have an ISO cam. A DISO cam? Oh, maybe we nailed it. Phil didn't come up with DISO cam. So, Phil, you're going to have to split that producer credit with me. Yeah, saying we need there's some really good comments here in the YouTube. Some very helpful suggestions. I feel like we're going to get there. All right. What a train wreck, folks. This has been spectacular. I feel like we really made some technological advancements here, some improvements to the show infrastructure. Is there anything else that we should be talking about? What else is new and exciting and coming down the pike? Obviously, RecPoker Weekend at Running Aces is right around the corner. It's not too late to get yourself ready for that.
And what days are the dates for that?
Those are Friday, August 4th and Saturday, August 5th. And then I'm going to be there Thursday night and I'm staying over Saturday night. So I'll probably, if people stay over Saturday night, I'll probably host like a breakfast or something on Sunday morning before we all head out. But yeah, the main events are on Friday the 4th and Saturday the 5th. So do come and check that out. And I guess I would just say, if you're still listening, you're obviously a diehard fan. Please do subscribe, rate or review the show. That would be fantastic. That helps us out a lot. If you're listening and not watching, head on over to YouTube every once in a while. Check out some of our videos and give us a follow or a subscribe on there too. That would be great.
And if you're gonna rate
Chris?
it, please rate it on the previous part of the episode, not the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. Try and rate it on the portions that you really enjoyed. That would be great. That would be great. So I'm being asked if there's any updates on the Indianapolis event. Not yet. I have reached out to the contact there, Chris, and I'm hoping that we will get a chance to get together. And thanks to everyone else, Michael Savage, who sent me a fantastic email about some card rooms in Texas that we might be able to visit. I want to be doing a lot more of these RecPoker road trips. So if there's a card room near you, send me an email and let me know if we can make some introductions and make something happen, because it's just so much fun traveling around North America, playing cards and making friends. I just want to do it as much as possible. So I'm looking forward to that. And thanks for that connection, Phil. And yeah, Luke, we're definitely copywriting the Daiso cam. That's going to stick around, I think, for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much to the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. Thank you to John Somsky, Rob Washam, Joe Coolis, and Chris Jones. We couldn't do it without you. Thanks to the YouTube chatters, and thanks to you, the listeners at home, the OGs of the RecPoker Fan Club. So you're the best, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks, everybody.